everyone, it's Sam Vokes at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to the Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome along to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, which has quite an international theme this week. The reason being... well, there's two reasons, actually. Firstly, Bob, state your location.
My location is Tempe, Arizona at the moment, which is quite near Phoenix.
How's things there?
Things are nice and warm, to be honest. It's going to be 28 degrees this afternoon. I'm currently looking out on some very red, deserty-like mountains.
Oh, very similar to the view here.
I can imagine so, yes. The Masalan Towers that's behind you in the studio is very much like the red, deserty mountains that I'm currently looking out on.
It's also very dark here, so it's difficult to see anyway, to be honest.
Oh yes, whereas here it's morning at the moment. So yes. Well, what time is it now? It's just after 12 actually. So I'm lying.
Well, very good morning from America. This week you've been able to keep an eye on the recent results from afar.
I have indeed, yes. I haven't been able to watch them, but I have been listening to the commentary. So we will be reflecting on the 1-0 defeats to Portsmouth and to Hartlepool. We did reflect on maybe actually we won't talk very much about the football this week. We'll just talk about other stuff. I think you were going to do some gardening content, weren't you?
Yes, although that's a bit of a joke because I can't actually think of any, but I know what you mean. Listen out for Chris's show, who has a gardening expert called Colin as well, on a Friday, one not to miss. Continuing our international theme as well, we'll be catching up with former defender Stuart Cash, who's just come back from Poland to see his son, Matty Cash, a former Wycombe Wanderers academy player as well, now of course at Villa, representing Poland in his international debut.
Very, very exciting. And I'm sure he's very excited about having Steven Gerrard as a manager, who's definitely not using Aston Villa as a stepping stone to Liverpool.
And also, this hour, we'll be catching up with Head of Media at the club, Matt Cecil, who'll be telling us about the demise of the Wycombe Wanderers programme. This Saturday against Bolton will be the last chance for you to get a matchday programme in print, on paper. And also, we'll be catching up with manager Gareth Ainsworth as well, who's been at the Christmas light switch on and performing as well.
Will there be a ceremony or anything for the programme? Will the players gather around the centre circle or something and all hold the programme before the kick-off?
I don't know, to be honest. I haven't... Find out in our chat with Matt. I can't say that because we didn't cover that. But maybe.
Oh, okay. I think it needs to be marked in some way, sort of like officially.
Maybe. Perhaps officials at the club will be listening to this and think, oh yeah, we should really do that.
What a great idea of Bob's. No, that probably wasn't a very good idea.
No, you have had some good ideas, but I don't think that perhaps that might not be one of them.
Yeah, okay. I'll put that with the battery-operated trousers and the dog leads.
If you're new to this show, that reference won't mean much to you. But believe me, it's very funny. Also, then, let's begin with Pompey, who on Saturday were the visitors to Adams Park. Of course, we've had a bit of a run of home games, not necessarily in League One either.
Yes, it hasn't been going that well, really, has it? When you actually look at it and you see that actually we haven't now won in 6 games, and that's including obviously the Hartlepool game as well. But as Gareth would say, very much, it is only 2 league defeats in a row. And I have seen so much negativity, particularly on the Facebook group, whilst I've been in America, and you do think, look, we're 4th. There are 20 other teams that would rather be where we are, so let's not be too negative. And goodness me, against Portsmouth, yes, we did have chances to win it. Clearly, Joe Jacobson's penalty, which wasn't, if we're being charitable, wasn't the best penalty in the world. But then, of course, we did have the, right at the very end, hitting the post and having several opportunities to at least get a point from the game, which actually, had we got, I think we would have probably thought, well, that's, that wasn't a bad point, given that Portsmouth weren't bad either.
And when you consider as well, we spoke last week, Portsmouth have scored 4 in 2 games, I think it is, and they've conceded 4 as well. So, at least when they lost 1-0, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, very up and down side, as you've said as well. They've beaten Sunderland 4-0, so you're never quite sure what you're going to get really with Portsmouth, with the Cowley brothers. Incidentally, what nice chaps the Cowley brothers seem. You'd definitely want to be hanging out with them, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. We've got a very, very nice manager as well, of course.
Well, of course, yes, indeed, yes. I think I was possibly saying that slightly sarcastically, just because...
Oh,
almost...
Sorry, I missed that.
listening to the commentary all the way from America, you could almost hear the Cowley brothers actually without needing to hear the commentary, particularly the amount of complaining that was going on, especially during the penalty incident, because, of course, Portsmouth thought that they should have had a penalty about 2 minutes before Joe Jacobson missed ours. And so, yes, I don't think Danny Cowley was particularly keen on the referee or his brother either.
Let's get the manager, Gareth Ainsworth's thoughts after the game, speaking to Phil.
Do you know what? We've had 21 shots at their goal. We've never done that to Portsmouth before. You know, I think it shows where we've come. You know, yeah, we've had the best chances today. We had the better chances than they have. We didn't take them. You know, we've hit the post twice. We've missed a penalty. So it's not all doom and gloom. Everyone look at the result and be down. But the chances we've created are numerous, and we've just got to stick one in. You know, and it's a whole different game. You know, it's tough, but. For me, you look at the big picture, as always, and to do that to a Portsmouth team, I think shows how far Wycombe have come, or are Portsmouth not what they were? And that's the question you've got to ask. But I think it's the former. I think it shows how far Wycombe have come. You know, we're better than we've ever been. We keep playing like that. We keep doing that to teams. We're going to score goals. Somebody's going to get a battering. But unfortunately today, Portsmouth caught us on some counter-attacks, and that's how they scored their goal. You know, on a counter-attack, which we're wide open on that, and that needs work. But no, pleased with the boys again, and great to see this place full. We're going to get used to that. We're going to get used to these big games because we're a big scalp for people now, and that's a real positive for me.
Pompey had a real spell in the game at the start of the second half. Was that frustrating that he came then?
Yeah, of course it was. You know, I said to the boys, look, for the first half, I don't think Pompey had much at all. We dominated it with the penalty, with the post, numerous shots, and then all teams are going to have a spell. All teams will have a spell. I don't care who you are, you're going to have a 5 or 10 minutes. They didn't actually score in their 5 or 10 minutes. They scored just after that in a counter-attack, but at the end there, they're hanging on, and again, it's a great performance, not a great result. We've got to stick the ball in the net when we get our chances, because we're creating 20 plus chances a game. I remember 3s and 4s at games and 0 on target, you know, in a couple of games, and that was worrying back in the day. But now I'm happy, and I wanted something out of today's game, but we don't fear anyone in this league.
Do you think Wycombe have maybe used up their late goal allowance?
I don't know. We'll see, but there one or two there. I think for me there's another penalty in there, and the ref doesn't give it because he's already given us one, and he didn't give them one. I think theirs is a penalty. I think ours is a penalty, and I think there's another one to us in there. You know, it's just tough. You know, I think the referees can almost think they've given us one, they can't give us two, but you can. You know, if it's a penalty, it's a penalty, and the challenge on Brandon Hanlon on the edge of the box as well. I don't know how that's not a free kick, but you know, we'll go again on Tuesday. We're going to be strong in the FA Cup because I want to win that. I want to get back to winning ways, and then we've got a run of games here and away. Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday coming up, big games. Hoping to get Gareth back soon, Darryl Horgan coming back, and Sully Kai, you know, and like I say, but it wasn't anything to do with that. We created a lot of chances, just didn't stick them in the net today.
There's a bit of a winless run now in all comps. Is that a concern?
No, not at all. No, I've been on worse runs than this, believe me. Performances is what I'm about, and I always will be, and I know it'll come.
And Wycombe fans will be linking that run starting when Gareth McCleary got injured.
Yeah, of course. Gareth gives us an X factor. We know he's one of our players who are better than this level, you know, without a doubt. When he gets on the ball, things happen, and he's a big loss at the moment. But we've got to step up, because how we haven't scored today is beyond me. But sometimes that happens, and you've got to keep a clean sheet. Then would have took a 0-0 and thought, wow, we were unlucky with not chances. But you know, they've got a sucker punch really, and you know, they've sort of smash and grab on Wycombe today. But that, for someone like Portsmouth to come and do that here, like I say, it shows what a club we are now and how much respect we've got. We've not hit the target at times when we should today, and the keeper's made a fantastic save, and the woodwork's cost us twice, and the keeper saved the penalty. There's all sorts going on today that you can't just reflect on the result. Go back and watch the whole performance. It's good enough to win a game. That'll turn some lower teams teams over in this league, but today he wasn't good enough, and we have to put that right next game.
And the tactical change in the second half, it brought about the chances and turned the tide in terms of possession. Are you pleased about that?
Yeah, I mean, we had loads of chances first half, with the formation we had, but the tactical change second half, you put Bayo on, and he's always going to bring something to a game. I thought Dave Wheeler as well made a big impact, but we just couldn't get it in the net today, and that happens sometimes, but it'll go the other way too, don't worry about that.
Really interesting to hear about the sort of comparison between performance and result.
Yes, definitely. I think probably if you're listening to it as a fan, you're probably thinking, well, we had 20 plus shots. It's maybe a bit concerning that actually we weren't able to score. I think also the term conspicuous by his absence has probably never been more aptly used in terms of Gareth McCleary. I think when we had Gareth that got him last season, we probably didn't realise how good he was just because we were obviously in the Championship. And then I think earlier on in this season, when obviously we were winning all the games, you don't necessarily realise how good a player is because obviously he's playing as one of 11. But suddenly, the fact that we haven't had Gareth McCleary, you suddenly realise all that he brings to the team and just actually what a star in that lineup he is and how desperately we have missed him over these past 6 games because, that's the statistic now. It is 6 games, albeit in all competitions, which includes the Pizza Cup, without a win. But that is a little bit concerning, and I think probably all fans, and I'm fairly sure the manager as well, is desperate to have Gareth McCleary back.
And creativity seems to be a word that comes up as well, and he's a real outlet for that.
Yeah, completely. I mean, he just is one of those players that makes things happen, and just, it possibly sort of like fits all of the pieces of the jigsaw together. And then when we don't have him, it doesn't quite work. And at the moment, that's kind of, I think, how it's looking. Again, I completely appreciate everything that Gareth's saying about chances and, the fact that actually, yes, he does look for the performance. But, at the same time, speaking as a fan, obviously, fans look for the result rather than the performance. But, I completely appreciate that everything Gareth is saying as well. I'm always slightly cautious when managers say things like, one of these games soon we're going to give somebody a hiding, and particularly when you look at the fixture list and you see, well, it's Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday to come, albeit after the Bolton game on Saturday. Let's just worry about getting the 3 points first before talking about actually giving somebody a hiding.
No, definitely. And on to Hartlepool on Tuesday, where you really thought, especially seeing the side he put out, was a very strong side, and then being from League Two, and you thought this could be the real tide turning.
All of those things, and listening to what he said, before the game, clearly, yes. I think on the Saturday when we went up to Hartlepool, very much it was a team that that was picked because of the circumstances and the games that we played around it. On Tuesday night, you very much thought, yeah, this is a team that has been picked to ensure that we get to the second round of the FA Cup. So slightly concerning, obviously, that we weren't able to get the win. Yet again, obviously, we hit the post late on, but you would feel really that we should be beating a side like Hartlepool. Again, particularly given all of the things that Gareth was saying about how, we are one of the bigger teams now and we're a scalp. And you can look at it the other way and say, well, yes, Hartlepool came and probably tried or even harder because they were thinking, well, wow, yeah, we're playing a team that's 4th in League One. But really, when all is said and done, we should be beating the likes of Hartlepool in the FA Cup.
Let's get the thoughts of the manager. Speaking to Phil once again after the game, you might find some similarities in this and the previous interview as well.
The way we've played, people are going to start having a go at me for these interviews, but we've created so many chances. We're just not sticking it in the goal. One thing we've done better tonight is we're at the post 3 times instead of 2. So there's a positive, but we've got to make sure we don't hit the post. We've got to put it in the goal. We've had chances, and really there was little threat. Two shots, from them really that really were worrying, and one of them went in. That's the game. Sometimes I've just said to the boys, look, if there's little things you can improve on, there is 1 or 2 little bits. I'm never going to ever say any names, but there's 1 or 2 things we can improve on without a shadow of a doubt, and everyone can. Every team in the world can. Man City can. But it's going to come. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to come. And I've said the only thing we can do now is focus on Bolton on Saturday. At some stage, someone's going to take a beating off us. These chances are going to go in. These opportunities that are coming, they will get scored. Gutted for the boys. Absolutely gutted for the boys. They're an unbelievable bunch. I have total belief in them. And I think this run has been compounded by cups. Papa John's, 2 FA Cups. You take that out of it, there's only 2 defeats on the spin in the league, and that's what I'm focusing on. Ipswich, Portsmouth. This club historically has been beaten by both those clubs many times, and we're gutted about being beat by them now. So all positives, and I'm looking forward to getting on Saturday. I'm looking forward to getting them in Thursday. There's going to be no toys out the pram. There's going to be no throwing teacups and getting them in tomorrow. And that's not my style. They'll come in Thursday. They'll work really hard on Bolton Wanderers. Home game. Sure, it's going to be a great atmosphere, and I, again, can't wait to get stuck into them because we keep playing like we do. We're going to win games, so I'm absolutely fine.
We went to 4 at the back. Was it the system you played at Fleetwood, I think, by the look of it, and with quite a lot of attacking options on? Were you disappointed at half-time that perhaps the keeper hadn't been able to do that much work in the first half for Hartlepool?
Disappointed at full-time that really the keeper's not been worked as much as I'd like him to, At Fleetwood, we could have scored 8. We only scored 3. We need to take advantage of these chances and these opportunities and this forward play that we do. But tonight, it wasn't going to be our night. Again, the goal was very elusive, and we've got to take the defeat on the chin, and okay, we've been beat. We've got to get in the league. That's what we've got to do. We're 4th in League One after whatever games we've played, and I'm really proud of where we are. I'm really proud of the efforts. So the boys are gutted. It's not like they go home all smiley and happy. They're absolutely devastated, and I feel for them. But they've got to drop this quick. They've got to come in Thursday, ready to go again. And like I say, somebody is going to take a beating. I'm hoping it's soon because we're creating so many chances. We're playing well. I mean, we're playing a lot more than we ever have, and because I've got the players to be able to do that now. But unfortunately, this goal is nil at the moment, and we've got to try and score and hit the target better.
What did you say at half time? Because the system remained the same, but those chances came after the half time break, didn't they?
We just needed to overload down the wings a couple of bits, and Darryl running wide, Brandon getting wide, Anis when he came on getting wide and picking the ball up in great areas, with the fullbacks, because obviously they're playing 5 at the back and shutting us out. And I thought we did that second half really well. I thought Curtis Thompson switched the ball and Josh really well, and it was just the final bit, the final ball, the final shot, the final header just wasn't going to go in today. It will do soon, believe me, and when it does, I'll be a happy man, and I'm sure the fans will be very happy as well. But listen, we've been in a lot worse situations than this. It's hard to take for me at the moment because I know how well the boys are playing, but we need to start scoring goals, and that's going to be probably the focus of a few days training. But it's on the day, it's on the match days that count, and I've got plenty of great players, I believe totally in them, and ready to go again on Saturday.
And to compound the results tonight, Josh Scowen looked like he went off with a hamstring injury just before you were about to make a substitute. Did that have any bearing on that decision?
No, Josh is pulled up feeling tight. It's nothing more than that, so I'm hoping that he'll be back for Saturday because he's been one of the performers of the season so far, and good to see him back home. But if he isn't, there's plenty of players champing at the bit waiting to take that place and have a go. I'll show you what I can do, and I love that. That's what we are. Like I say, can't wait for Saturday now, Phil, but lads need to get their legs back first.
But it looked like Mametti was going to be that first substitution. It ended up being David Wheeler. Was that because of the injury to Josh Scowen? Is that a bit of luck gone against you there, do you think?
Things happen. It was Mametti coming on, but we had to just reshuffle when Josh got injured. These things happen. I thought Anis was bright when he came on again, and like I say, we've got some good players in this squad. It's just getting them firing, getting them hitting the target, getting them scoring goals, because I believe we'll be a big force in League One this year.
And the old adage is concentrate on the league now, and back to Adams Park Saturday, Bolton Wanderers. That's going to be set up for a really big game now, because you want to get that win now back, aren't you, and get the form cooking. Yeah,
without a doubt. They're a good side, by the way. They're a very good side. They're very expansive, and Ian Everett's got them playing in a good way. So we need to make sure we're on it, properly on it, because we don't want to keep losing games. But you know what, whatever it takes, however many it takes, we'll get back. I believe that we're going to be at the top end of League One at the end of the season, and don't judge these boys on tonight, judge them over 46 games in the league, and I think you'll be happy at the end of that.
So he sounds fairly positive.
Yeah, definitely. And you listen to that and you do think, well, yeah, okay, fair enough. And also, let's be completely honest as well. I don't really think probably that Gareth particularly minds the fact that we're not in the FA Cup anymore. It will be then another weekend off, obviously coming up, considering how many games that they've had, the fact that we haven't used the international breaks. So I think really, whilst, yes, as a fan, particularly if you were one of the 1,500 who went along on Tuesday night, and I understand that it was rather chilly, not that I was experiencing that, but, I think you probably were quite disappointed. But at the same time, obviously this season very much the focus is on the league, and if we end up getting automatic promotion or finishing in the playoffs, then, I think we can take a 1-0 loss to Hartlepool.
No, it does sound very good indeed. I must say a massive congratulations as well to Wycombe Wanderers women, who've got their first league win of the season.
Hooray!
From Arizona, a big hooray there. 3-0 victory they got last Sunday after Upper Oxford City. Sammy Nazif got a goal. Shante Innes, who's scored a few, and Felicity West as well. This coming Sunday sees another trip west to newly promoted Abingdon Town.
Fantastic that they finally got their first win, and yeah, definitely onwards and upwards, as Gareth would say. Absolutely.
Proud of the girls. More to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show. We must say a very, very big thank you to you for joining us. Where will you be joining us from next week?
So for next week, I will be in New York City. I will say that I have worn a couple of my Chairboys T-shirts around America, and I'm quite disappointed that nobody has commented or even inquired about them yet.
You obviously need to cause more of a scene with them on.
I think I do, yes. I was hoping to experience the worldwide Wycombe Wanderers phenomenon for real, and probably I should have gone to Louisiana. And when I was planning the trip, I did consider going to Louisiana, and I definitely will one day, because I want to go to the sort of the home of the Couhigs. That sounds a bit creepy. I'm not saying that I'm going to turn up at their doorstep or anything.
Just at the window going, hello?
I
Rob,
want to go
it's me.
To Mrs. Bookshop, because you can go along to that, obviously, because it's a shop. So yeah, I will make a pilgrimage to Louisiana one day, and hopefully wearing my Wycombe Wanderers stuff, somebody will say, hey, you're a wanderer, or up the Wick, or something like that.
Bob in America. He'll be back from a different part of America on at the same time next week on the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Part 2 on the way here at Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll look back at manager Gareth Ainsworth speaking in the High Street of the Christmas lights switch on a little earlier on this evening. We'll hear from Matt Cecil as well, head of media at the club, on the final match day programme, which will be available at Saturday's Wonder of Wycombe game at home to Bolton Wanderers. But first, with many thanks as always to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, we get to chat to another former player, this time someone who was a left-back in the FA Trophy final, Stuart Cash, who has just recently returned from Poland from seeing his son, who you might have heard of, being on international duty. But as always with these kind of chats, it's great to start by finding out how Stuart became a Wycombe Wanderers player.
Oh, that's going back a long time now. I don't know how sure the memory bank is. But now, I was at Nottingham Forest back in 89, 90, 91 seasons. And we played in a friendly game. I think it was against Lincoln City. And Martin O'Neill was the manager of Wycombe. And I was playing the game. And so was one of my teammates and ex-Wycombe player, Keith Scott. And that's the way me and Keith came to Wycombe on loan at the same time.
It must have felt like such a special time as well, because obviously Keith and yourself and those players of that time, it felt like a really special time. Obviously, as you say, with Martin being the manager as well, a really special time at the club.
Yeah, very much so. We had a fantastic team spirit. We had a fantastic team. I was only there for a short period of time, but I know they went on to do really good things the season after. I mean, I did come back not long after that, but I sort of had a bad knee injury then, and I was sort of coming to the end of my football career. But no, there was a good set of lads we all keep in contact with now. We have get-togethers now every so often, and charity football matches, so we still speak, but great set of lads, and they've become really good friends of mine.
And you must look back on the trophy final especially with such fondness and great memories of that occasion.
Yeah. I mean, playing at the old Wembley, in front of 40+ thousand supporters. Obviously it was a great occasion, and one we was lucky enough to win, and win the FA Trophy, and it was a fantastic day out. I can assure you that.
And are there any other sort of memories or occasions which really stand out during your time at the club?
No, I mean, like I say, I was only there for a short period of time. I joined in the quarter-final stage, I think. It was against Altrincham away. No, sorry, I'm wrong there. Northwich Victoria, we played in the quarter-finals, and we played Altrincham in the semi-finals, home and away. So that was another good victory for us. But we, like I say, we had a fantastic team, and one what's gone on to achieve great things, obviously individually and collectively.
As you say, fantastic that you still get to keep in touch with players during your time there, and it must have been something which you look back on a lot of fondness. As you say, comparatively short period of time, though.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I'd say that we all keep in contact. Matt Crosley, Jason Cousins, Dave Carroll. Dave Carroll and Jason went on to come and play on Simon Stapleton. They all played for me when I was assistant manager at Aldershot. So we kept in contact, and they was obviously coming to their latter stages of their career, and they came and had a season or so with me at Aldershot.
I was going to say, how was that sort of transition for you? Because obviously after your time at the club, you continued playing, but then going into management and being a number 2 as well. Yeah,
it's something I always wanted to do, and it was a coach's role, player coach's role to start with, which is obviously the norm really, and you want to carry on playing, although I couldn't play full time because of my knee, and then I went into coaching at Enfield, and then obviously I was lucky enough to have 8 fantastic years at Aldershot, and then 5 really great years at AFC Wimbledon.
That must be great as well, just bringing on players and nurturing talent, and obviously hoping to get similar sort of success for them as well.
Yeah, very much so. I think that's a coach and assistant manager or a manager, it's to help players along their careers and make them better. And it was an interesting time. If I have a lot of people ask me, would you go back into it? And my answer to that would be no, not because I didn't enjoy it, but because I'm involved in football with my children now and golf with my daughter, so I haven't really got the time anymore. But I think I was in it 18 years, I think, in total, as player coach and manager along the way, and assistant manager, and times I really enjoyed it.
Is it really nice to sort of look back as well, especially on your having those two things as well, your time as a player and your time as coach as well?
Yeah, very much so. I would encourage any footballer to sort of do their badges and sort of look at, there's many players look at many different types of career outside football, but I would always encourage somebody to go into the coaching management side. It's really interesting, and when I've been lucky enough to have a few promotions in my career, and it's really interesting, and one I really enjoyed.
And you briefly mentioned your family there. You must be so proud of obviously what Matty's gone on to achieve, but especially starting off at Wycombe's Academy as well.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, obviously they've all gone on to Adams, got Icon Academy, football business. He works for himself. My daughter's over in America at the moment on a golf scholarship, and Matthew's gone on and made a really good name for himself in football. Obviously, Wycombe, that's where it all started. And he's made natural progression through Dagenham on loan, and obviously at Forest, get into their youth team, into their first team, and then being transferred to Villa. So he's done really well, and obviously he's in the early part of his career, and hopefully he can sort of keep progressing and doing what he's been doing over the last few years.
There must be something really nice about that family symmetry as well, you playing for Wycombe and Forest, and the same for him as well.
Yeah, very much so. It was, people ask me, did I get into Forest with my connections there? And it couldn't have been farther from the truth. I mean, the way it happened, he was at the Fab Academy at Bisham. When he left, obviously, the Wycombe thing folded, and then he went to Fab. And they played Forest in the friendly, and he did really well there, and they invited him for a week, and a week's trial, and they signed him after 3 days. So it was none of my doing. It was all off his own back, and I unfortunately, I can't take any credit for that.
It's such a fantastic story as well that he's got to play international football too.
Yeah, he's. It's all about progression. We talk about stages and progression. Obviously, going back from breaking into the first team at Forest, and then the next stage was, playing on a regular basis. Then the next stage was playing in the Premier League, which he's done, and after that was trying to look at playing internationally. And he's got a bloodline of Polish through his mum's side, and they was very, very keen to exploit that. And we've just come back from Poland actually 2 days ago, and we had a great experience. They treated us really well, and obviously he was he went on to make 2 appearances for Poland, so he really enjoyed it, and he wants to sort of break regularly into the first team and hopefully play in a few World Cups and Euro Championships if he can.
It must have been such a proud moment for you as well, just to actually be there to see him make his international debut.
Oh, very much so, very much so. I mean, he's always made the family feel really part of everything he does, from his signings, and the Polish FA invited us all over to Poland for obviously his home debut. We've been involved in everything with him, and we really enjoyed it. And I know for a fact he was at some stages in awe of it, but he's really enjoyed it. Yeah, he's got a job to do of trying to win football matches and integration with his teammates, and getting to know how the manager wants him to play, the diet, the language. So there's lots of things go into it. It's not just turning up for a game of football. Then obviously he's got to deal with the pressure of not only winning football, but dealing with the supporters, and they all want a piece of him over there, and he's dealt with that really well. And he's come back and he's really enjoyed it. He was a bit tired on the plane on the way home, but now obviously he's got to go back to Villa and try and impress a new manager at Aston Villa, and that's where his focus has turned to now.
No, it's exciting times. And you mentioned, Adam as well in football, and your daughter as well. Must be a really busy time as parents, but also nice for you as well to have sort of produced, if you like, more people in the world of sport and football. Yeah,
I mean, obviously Adam was a keen footballer. He still is. He was unlucky with his. He's had 2 serious ACL injuries in the same knee, so that's knocked him back 2 or 3 years. Obviously with operations and recovery, so that's obviously going to limit him to what level he can play at. He's just come back and playing at Hayes and Yedding now, but he's got a really good business, and that's enabled him to concentrate on his football icon academy. He's got nearly 1,000. Well, he's actually got over 1,000 children, boys and girls at different ages. So he's gone into that industry, an industry he really enjoys. And he's built that up himself from scratch, so he's growing that. And my daughter's just gone back to the States. She came over to Poland with us, and she's due back here in December, so she's excelling at golf at the moment.
No, it's fantastic. And I guess as a former player as well, you must really look out for how Wycombe are doing it, and must have had such a great sense of pride when they got promotion to the Championship, and what Gareth's doing there now.
Yeah, I do. That's the result I always look at. Obviously, there's people still at the club. They're still there when I was there, and it was a fantastic club, and it's. I don't live too far from the area, so it's one I want to look out for. And Gareth's done a fantastic job, get them into the Championship. Obviously last year and or the year before, sorry, and he's done really well on limited resources, and he keeps grinding out fantastic players and good teams, and it just shows what a good job he's done.
And I'm sure other clubs have it as well, but it seems really special, the Ex-Players Association, and the fact there's, so many of you from so many different sort of generations and can share your memories.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been back for a while now, but I should be going back more often, because I'm only probably 10 miles from the area, but with obviously the kids growing up and sort of venturing into their own sports, I haven't really had time to do it, but it's one I'm going to do definitely this season. Obviously I go and watch Matthew every week, home and away, but it's definitely on my list to get over to Wycombe and see a couple of games this year.
Well, it's been fantastic to speak to you. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
It's a pleasure.
Great to speak to Stuart Cash, who of course played left-back for Wycombe in the early 90s. He came on loan and was in the FA Trophy final. Great to hear about former academy player Matthew Cash as well, who of course is at Villa now and has made his international debut for Poland this week. Great to hear news of his dad going to see him. Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show this week, we'll be speaking to Matt Cecil about the end of an era in terms of the matchday programme. We'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth as well, who was in the town centre earlier on.
Online, on Radio Player and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
If you've got the Christmas light switch on in town, you'll have seen Wycombe Wanderers manager Gareth Ainsworth being part of the proceedings to switch on the Christmas lights, but also performing a number of fantastic songs, including The Wanderer. He also did some brilliant Christmas songs, including a fantastic version of Fairy Tale of New York, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and Winter Wonderland, with some amended lyrics to work with the Wycombe chant as well. We'll be hearing from the manager who spoke on Wycombe Sound shortly after that performance in a few moments' time. But first, you might have heard that the matchday programme is coming to an end as a physical thing. Saturday's game against Bolton is the last time the club will be bringing to an end the matchday programme, and we've been speaking to head of media at the club, Matt Cecil, to find out what must be quite a sort of difficult decision in a way to get rid of the programme, because it's obviously a staple part of everyone's matchday, but also of course with technology taking over, quite a positive thing as well maybe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's been a real kind of mixed feelings around the place. I've kind of likened it to breaking up with a girlfriend, really. It's the programme has been around for far longer than I've been around, and kind of toyed with what the right decision has been, and you kind of want to make it work, and we've tried a few different avenues, and ultimately I think it's a sign of the times that it mostly comes down to the decline in sales over the last few years, but particularly this season since the return of fans. Putting together a matchday programme takes up a lot of time, takes up a lot of effort. It costs the club money in terms of the production, and we're just not seeing enough of a return, from sales of programmes. Advertisers no longer really want the printed material in the programme because there are far more digital opportunities available to them, which really reach more people and give them greater visibility. So, we've had to kind of really, dig deep into our souls to determine what's the right thing for the club, for Wycombe Wanderers, moving forward into a new era, into a new age, and parting with the printed matchday programme on a permanent basis. We're still kind of keeping the option open for special editions from time to time, but we feel now's the right time. We've given it a try this season. We've not seen anywhere near the level of sales that we would hope for. And the printed matchday programme goes into retirement. I never wanted to be the press officer that did that. I was a huge collector of programmes in my childhood. I'm sure there's still 20 years' worth in my dad's loft. It'll probably sit there collecting dust till kingdom come. But we've looked at a lot of options and decided that now's the time to call it a day for the programme.
I was going to say that sounds like all totally understandable reasons, but I guess for many supporters it's really part of the matchday experience, isn't it? Going to get a programme and looking through it before kick-off, and as you say, keeping it for a very long time afterwards, not looking at it for a very long period either. But
yeah, I think that there are a lot of reasons that people buy a programme. Some are collectors and they buy it to keep it pristine, to put it on the shelf, to be part of the collection. For some, it's entertainment for the kids. It gives them something to read if the game's not entertaining. Some people use it as an information resource because they're not online and they're not receiving information digitally, and therefore they like to pick up the programme to learn what's going on around the club. People use it to get signed by players. I'm sure some have been used as paper aeroplanes down the years. Lots of different reasons to buy a matchday programme. And you're right, it's going to feel odd, I think, for people that are used to walking through the gates, to buying a programme from Margaret and Jenny out at the hut, sitting in the bar or in the stadium, flicking through it. To no longer have that is going to be strange for those people, and I can quite rightly understand why some people are a little bit disturbed by the news. But I think if you look around the stadium now, far more people have their head in their phones, and accessing real-time, up-to-date content via social media or through websites. Printed programmes are 2 or 3 days old by the time they arrive, and in this day and age, that's quite old, because of the deadlines in terms of print, and there's just not the level of interest and engagement in programmes that there used to be. Back in the day, you'd pick up a programme and discover the club had signed 3 players that week, or changed the manager, or that's where you'd learn a lot of your information because it wasn't available elsewhere. And I think that is the sign of the times, that so many people are absorbing far more digital content than they ever have done, but now the need for printed materials isn't there so much. So, as I say, we've done a lot of exploring of different options. Some clubs still produce, a digital program, really just in printed format in terms of the layout, but delivered on a digital device. Some have stopped altogether. Some are really kind of putting their social and digital, website content to the fore. And, I think last season was a real learning curve for us, that we anticipated that fans, even though they weren't at the ground, would still like to buy a program, to have it as part of that collector's item, and very few were doing that, and that's why we called it a day at that point. We brought one back for the Tottenham FA Cup game as a special edition, which I think we were really proud of as a piece of work. We had a lot of contributions from lots of different people across the club, made a real souvenir edition, and one that I'm particularly proud of. When I look back at my 7 years as programme editor, I think that was one of the best we've produced. But this season, for various reasons, we kind of shrunk the size of the programme. We realised that people could access information elsewhere. We have state-of-the-art Wi-Fi in the stadium now, so actually, to look up information, if you're interested in who the opposition number 27 is, you're far more likely to read more and learn more about him online just by scanning your phone quickly, rather than going to the programme for a short paragraph. And the kind of a lot of those considerations came into it when we decided to call it a day for the printed programme. But going back to your original point, it is going to be a disappointment for those that are collectors and that do buy one every game, but that number of people is diminishing, almost by the week at the moment.
It certainly makes sense, and as you say, a real sign of the times. But you must be so pleased and proud as well of what the club have put out in terms of programmes over the years and how it's evolved.
Yeah, I was a huge lover of it back in the day, in the 90s. Fascinating columns. I remember Alan Parry and John Goldsworthy, the old club secretary, would always write really entertaining stuff. And as I say, it was your one way of knowing what was going on around the club. And, I started here full-time in 2014, and that summer we didn't have any programme company even in the bag. We had no photography organisation. We had no kind of team around us. And what we've built up over the last 7 years, we're quite proud of. But particularly our advancements have come digitally, and they're going to continue to do so in terms of the social media content, the website content. We're looking to branch out more and more and more into those kind of areas. And the programme, there have been some really special editions that I'm proud of. Some programmes, when they're in the thick of a Christmas schedule, or where you've got back-to-back home games on Saturday and midweek, some programmes I know are kind of gone to print and they don't meet the quality standards that we would hope for. But, overall, really pleased, really, so grateful to all the contributors, all of whom have been volunteers. We've not been outsourcing content to paid writers. There's been a lot of Wycombe fans who've given up time to put their content in the programme, to provide entertainment for other people. We're proud that we've used it as a platform for young aspiring journalists to have their work printed, and I know a lot of people are very proud to see their work in the printed programme, and that will be kept on shelves and put in portfolios for their future careers. But as we say, end of an era, but a sign of the times, and there are a lot of exciting things to come away from the programme. I'm hopeful our fans will continue to engage with.
I was going to say, I think you've already touched on it, but what's the sort of future then to replace the programme?
I think we're looking at a lot of ways that we can utilise kind of the toys, if you like, that we've been given here at the stadium now. Adams Park's undergone a huge digital transformation, the LED boards around the side of the pitch, the giant screen, the state-of-the-art Wi-Fi. There's a lot more to come with that, where we want to engage better with the supporters, give them options to play a bigger part in the match day through the use of the Wi-Fi and the smartphones that are available to them. And in return, we want to deliver really compelling content that they want to read, they want to be involved in. So, there's quite big strides coming on the digital front. I can't give too much away at the moment, but it'll become apparent quite soon that there are kind of big changes coming at Wycombe Wanderers on that level. And there's going to be a gradual introduction of more and more ways that digital experience is going to play a part in a match day. We don't want to exclude anyone. We don't want anyone to turn up without a phone and think they're not part of the experience. There will always be that physical element, that human element of match days that you can never replace, never substitute with technology. And, for people who like to have printed materials, there are retail options as well, autograph books or whatever it might be that, is available for people who don't want to come and sit with their hands on the screen all day, and want to just enjoy a nice day out. Those experiences are there too. So it is changing times. It's evolved massively since I was coming as a kid in the 90s, and we've had to adapt with the times. We're a little bit behind some clubs that went away with the programme a couple of years ago and went down digital routes, but I think there'll be more clubs that follow And as I say, that's the way that things have been heading.
It's really interesting, isn't it, with the innovation and the developments. For example, the Our House programme, you must be so pleased with that as well. That's a great thing for fans to watch, even on their phones at the game, maybe.
Yeah, our kind of goals are multiple. We want to make sure that the Wycombe fans, first and foremost, are kept informed, engaged and entertained with the football club and everything that we do, and that's kind of, they're our main audience for the content that we provide, but we also want to provide content that catches the eye of those people that are maybe on the fence or maybe support a different club, a Premier League club, or that live locally but don't really come to games. That's our outreach that we want to deliver. Now, we're not going to achieve that through a matchday printed programme because you've got to come to the games, to buy one. And that's where our numbers are really kind of stifled because we're not selling enough to those that are attending. We do know that we've got the capability to reach far more people through digital methods, and a lot of those people will be ones that we can sway into coming to games and buying tickets and buying other things when they're here. So, I'm very, very proud of where we've come really in the last 4 years, I'd say, really on the video output, the digital stuff that we do. I've got a really talented team of people around me to help us achieve that. And, the backing of the board and the manager who, understand what we're trying to do. They fully back us. The trust as well. We actually offered the trust the opportunity to take over the printed programme if it was something that they felt they could maintain and use as their fundraising mechanism as well. But, they were of the same opinion, really, that it was going to be very hard to make it viable with the work and effort, the time that goes into it in order to return a profit. So, all the arms of the club were working in tandem, all towards the goal of making this club sustainable at the highest possible level. And in order to achieve that, there might be some unpopular decisions along the way. And discarding the printed programme may be one of those unpopular ones, but hopefully one that the fans will see does make sense.
So it sounds like Saturday's programme could be quite a collector's item.
Yeah, I think so. We're a little bit on the fence about how many to order. Sentiment does come into it, and as I say, I've been like a bear with a sore head around the office just debating, the right way to turn with this. So I'm sure there'll be a few people picking one up just to put on the shelf with the rest of them, and knowing that for now that's the last one. But we've already got half an eye on some special editions. We have a certain player retiring at the end of the season who is worthy of a good send off, and maybe there'll be something in the offing for him. And future anniversaries and prestigious fixtures may well warrant getting back on the phone to the printers and saying, let's work together on another edition. So in terms of the regular match by match programmes, Saturday will be the last one, but I'm sure it won't be the last programme in Wycombe Wanderers history, because we're always conscious of the potential that the programme can have and what it means to people on those special occasions.
Don't miss your opportunity to get your last match day programme from Adams Park on Saturday. Bolton Wanderers are the visitors. As you've been hearing, despite what feels like quite a lengthy, poor run, just lost back-to-back in the league, 2 defeats and a draw previous to that, so we haven't won for a little while, but still 4th in League One, as Gareth mentioned, just 5 points off the top of the table, which after 17 games with 9 wins, 4 draws and 4 defeats isn't too bad at all. Goal difference fairly decent, around +5, and as I say, 31 points at the moment, level on points with Rotherham. Bolton are the visitors who are in less good form, to be honest. They've only won 6 games all season. They've had a run of defeats. They won their last game, but in the league, but not doing so well. They're just below Portsmouth, actually, and Ipswich, a cluster of teams who Wycombe have faced. Upcoming opposition, of course, includes Sheffield Wednesday and the tabletoppers Plymouth as well. It's quite a busy November for Gareth Ainsworth's side. We've had these cup games as well in the EFL Trophy and the FA Cup, of course, the replay as well. But next Tuesday, a trip to Plymouth. Quite a long way for a Tuesday. And then on the Saturday, the 27th, Sheffield Wednesday away as well. So back-to-back away games. Then we're into December with a visit of Burton Albion. Oh no, not them again. Also, another home game against AFC Wimbledon. Trip to Bolton in prospect before Christmas as well. Boxing Day, of course, at home to Cambridge. Away to Ipswich as well. Oh no, that's also just a couple of days later, and then we begin 2022 with a trip to Charlton, and then home games against Sunderland and Oxford. So quite a lot of games coming up in the coming weeks. Hopefully we'll be able to maintain our good position in the top echelons of the table. You might have heard, as mentioned a little earlier on, Gareth Ainsworth was in the town centre performing on stage some honorary duties to switch on the Christmas lights, also performing some Christmas songs as well, including the Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York and Winter Wonderland, slightly amended lyrics to include the Wycombe chant as well, and Santa Claus is coming to town. Afterwards he spoke Tillich.
Hello everyone on Wycombe Sound. I know they do great things for us and great supporters of us, but yeah, it was a brilliant night, and the crowd was amazing. The town is really...
It's great, isn't it? It's really
I didn't even know this happened, and this has really come to life tonight. So fantastic work by the council, some great charities, and fantastic people of Wycombe.
I've had a few text messages from people saying that from Wycombe Sound presenters saying that they would rather play your version of Fairy Tale of New York than the Pogues, because we were just blown away by how good it was. So that's going to be played quite a lot on Wycombe Sound.
Thank you very much, but I think Shane McGowan does a much better job than me. But it was nice to be nice to be entertaining these great people tonight.
We always say how much Wycombe does for the community, and since you've been at the club, before you were a manager, when you were a player, you've done so much for the club. It must be great to just be giving back to the club as well, back to the town. Sorry,
back to the community. Yeah. Honestly, it is a town that really took me on and took me to their hearts when I first came here, and I'm not going to lie, I've had chances to move on, but I love this place and I love this football club.
You've got a bus, so...
and I want to get this team back to the Championship and have something really proud for the Wycombe people, and they're fantastic. They come down, they get behind us, and hopefully we can get back to those dizzy heights again next year.
I mean, you must be so proud of how the season's going so far. 4th in the league, Bolton on Saturday, another Wonder of Wycombe game. You must be looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a little blip in a couple of the cups, and we got beat off Ipswich and Portsmouth in the league, but they're two teams that historically would beat this club, and we were close, and we should have beat Portsmouth. We were
21 shots, wasn't it?
We were the better team by a mile, but we'll get back to winning ways on Saturday, hopefully Bolton, and we've got some big away trips. But all I can say is that as many of these people who came down here tonight, if they can come down and support your football team as well, we'd love to have you there. And me as the manager, I love all the Wycombe people. They really get behind us and they make a big difference.
What's Christmas like for you? Because obviously game on Boxing Day. Do you sort of delay Christmas for a couple of days, or do you try and have it on Christmas Day?
Yeah, well, for 32 years I've never had a Christmas off yet, so I'm still waiting for that one. But that means I'm not manager of Wycombe if that happens, so keep it going, keep these Christmases coming. But it is a busy time. We have a game Boxing Day, and then 3 days later, and then 3 days later, and so it's going to stretch the squad. It's going to be a test for us, but I've got the best squad I've had ever at Wycombe Wanderers, and I firmly believe that whatever players they rotate now, we're going to be strong, and hoping to prove that over Wycombe. Over Christmas. Come on, Wycombe.
It's great talking to you, Gareth. Thank you very much. And we have one request after your performance tonight is, can we have a Christmas album next year? That would be great. I know you've got a charity single coming out as well.
Me and Michael Bublé, yeah? But no, I'll stick to the football, believe me. Thanks a lot.
But you have got a charity song coming out soon.
We got a charity single out at the moment. It's called Skin, Love Don't Hate. And you can get that on Spotify. And it's a fantastic message about integrating everyone in society, and it's superb. And I did it with Petr Cech and Wills and the Willing, so that's out now, and hopefully we'll get an album out next year with Cherry Red Records, who've been great for me, and yeah, things are looking good on that front. If we can get promotion as well, it'd be a hell of a year.
Great to hear from the manager, Gareth Ainsworth, speaking in the town centre a little earlier on as he was performing his duties, performing on stage as well. It must have been great to be back playing in front of people again. Some fantastic versions of songs. If you did miss it a little earlier on, it's be available on the Listen Again feature on the Wycombe Sound website. Don't forget the podcast version of our show as well. You can pick that up from tomorrow, wherever you get your podcasts from. It's also on YouTube. Apparently people listen on YouTube, and also on the Wycombe Sound radio player page as well. We're back at the usual time of 7 o'clock next week. We'll be looking ahead to, as I say, what's going to be a pretty busy time for Wycombe. We'll be reflecting as well on games against Plymouth, which is on Tuesday night, as mentioned, and looking back at Saturday's game against Bolton Wanderers, who are the visitors at Adams Park. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be chatting to Bob as well, of course, who'll be joining us from America this evening. He was in Phoenix, Arizona. Next week he'll be chatting chatting to us from New York, but keeping a close eye on all things Wycombe as well. We'll be joined by another ex-player and bring you more interviews and words from manager Gareth Ainsworth as well. Have a top week. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and up the Wick.